Avalugg. Alright, so I believe base Avalugg is one of the worst Pokemon of all time. It's a super slow, defensive, mono ice type. I believe this is actually the Hisuian form. It's one of the nobles, right? Yeah, it is. And it gets a dual type. Dual types are almost always better than monotypes. So, what's the dual type? It's, what is this? It's ice. Ice. Ugh! Ice Rock? You're kidding me. But you're not kidding me. Oh my goodness. How did you take one of the worst Pokemon ever and make it even worse? Well, I mean, they can rearrange the stats, right? So I mean, if we check the stats, 35 base speed? You're never getting a turn ever. Literally glacial speed. Oh my goodness. But I mean, it gets a signature move, right? And most signature moves are pretty good. Like, what's the signature move? It's, it's Mountain... Hey there, you're watching the premium, edited version of the Pokemon Legends tier list. If for some reason you'd like to see the full version of the tier list with the chat enabled, you'll find a link to the original live stream in the description of this video. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy. Hello, and welcome to the Pokemon Legends Arceus tier list. Is such a thing even possible? I mean, we're gonna find out, right? We're making it anyway. So, normally when I do a tier list, I try to consider how well a Pokemon helps you get from your house to the Hall of Fame. That's not really applicable to this game because we are in Hisui, a time before there was a Hall of Fame. This is a story about how the bonds between humans and Pokemon were forged. Which is kind of ironic because you don't really use your Pokemon in this game. There's barely a double-digit number of battles in the game, so battling isn't really a useful criteria. And when it comes to capturing, pretty much the best way to capture Pokemon is to toss an Oranberry, maybe a Raspberry if you're feeling really, like, generous, and then just slam them in the back of the skull with a Gigaton Ball. What if they notice you? Well, then you hit them with a Sticky Glob to stun them, and then you slam them with a Gigaton Ball, so you don't really battle. But if you do that, then your Pokemon basically don't ever get used, and that's no fun at all, right? So, unlike most games where I assume you're a Dark Souls gamer that's kind of playing efficiently, I'm actually gonna assume that you're a filthy casual who's actually trying to have fun, so I'm gonna assume that you're battling more often than would be optimal, and I'm also gonna assume that when it comes to the Nobles fights, so you can see them all at the bottom of the overlay, even though you can Dark Souls it and just toss bombs to finish the battles quickly, I'm gonna assume that you're actually gonna try and fight them. And also, when it comes to the super secret Super Boss, the most difficult battle in Pokemon history, I think is fair to say. That's probably where most of the combat utility is going to come in. Let's talk about the actual tiers that I'm going to be using. So at the very top we have Useful. I think these are Pokemon that are generally very useful to your playthrough. You can sort of also think of this as just a recommended tier. So I am still considering availability, but not as highly as I would be in a base game. But Pokemon that are in Useful are going to be Pokemon that are available for most of the game, and also shine in either combat or capture, or even both, which is actually possible. An example of Pokemon I would put in Useful tier would be Hisuian Samurott, for reasons that will be explained later. Useful for combat is sort of exactly what it says. These are Pokemon that I think are exceptionally useful in combat, either against the mandatory nobles, or more likely, the final encounter against Giratina and friends. Then we have Useful in capture, so these are basically Pokemon that have a status move. You might also maybe consider it as Pokemon that can sort of wall as you toss out Pokeballs against the Pokemon you're trying to catch, but for reasons that we're going to talk about when we talk about the battle system, you can't really wall stuff in this game, unfortunately. Then under that we have the meh tier. This is where I think most Pokemon are going to go. These are Pokemon that aren't necessarily terrible, but I don't think they have enough of a usage in either combat or capture to be a recommendation from me. And then under that is why bother? These are Pokemon I think are seriously flawed, and without massive amounts of, like, grit welfare, you pretty much can't use them. I can see that there's a very spirited argument in the comments about how to actually pronounce the main character of this game, right? The god of the Pokemon world. As far as I understand it, in English, it is officially Arceus, right? Because Silvally ability is basically great value multi-type, right? And it's called RKS system. But in Japanese, it is 100% without a doubt Arceus. As somebody said in the chat, it's pronounced Arceus these nuts. I mean, that's really the pronunciation that transcends borders. But in English, it's officially Arceus. In Japanese, it's Arceus. I'm just gonna say Arceus, because I think that's what it was before they realized that it sounds kind of similar to Arse, and then they tried to change it with the RKS system. So no revisionism here, we're calling it Arceus. Something I think that's important to talk about before we get into the nitty-gritty tiering is the changes that were made to the Legends battle system, because there were quite a few, most of them for the worse, in my opinion, unfortunately. So Legends did away with two major aspects of Pokemon battling. There are no abilities and there are no items. And what do you get in exchange for those? Pretty much nothing. So I hope your ability wasn't good, because you get no compensation for it. Pokemon like Gengar that had a really good ability, pre-Gen 8 at least, Ripperoni Levitate, get nothing in exchange for losing their ability. Whoops. The only Pokemon that actually does is actually Cherrim. So Cherrim in Sunlight actually gets boosted stats to compensate for not actually having the Flower Gift ability. Spoiler alert, Cherrim still kinda sucks. At least Rotom Fan isn't a complete meme. Well, I mean, it kinda is, it's not good, but at least its Flying type actually does something. Items you don't really use in an in-game playthrough anyway, so that doesn't matter that much, but the ability thing really hurts. Specifically, it really hurts Regigiggas, who for whatever reason still has slow start. Game Freak has no mercy. We'll talk more about it when we actually get to Regigiggas, but I mean, you can already guess how Regigiggas is gonna fare. Let's talk about stats in this game, because they're kind of weird. As far as I understand it, and feel free to actually me in the chat, stats are kind of front-loaded in this game, which is to say that you get a lot more stats for actually just existing and being a certain species, as opposed to actually leveling up, which is to say that there's a much smaller difference between, say, a level 1 Drifloon and a level 30 Drifloon than you would encounter in the actual game. So that's why you get absolutely destroyed by a Pokemon that's like several levels below you. It's because you don't actually get that many stats for leveling up, you mostly get stats for just like being a Pokemon. Let's talk about turn order, because it's really confusing and kind of, sort of, deceptive. So at the moment when you select a move, it's not a lie. And then based on information you're not shown, it very quickly becomes nonsense. So from what I can tell, all moves in the game have like an action speed, except they don't tell you that. So it feels really unfair. So let's say that you're in a situation where you get a move and then your opponent gets a move. At the moment you select your move, that's true. But then let's say your opponent uses, say, Bite. As far as I can tell, Bite actually has high action speed, either that or it lowers your action speed. I don't know, because it doesn't tell you. All I know is that when your opponent uses Bite, even if they didn't agile style it, they might get 2 moves. And it doesn't say this anywhere. What a great game. Some moves actually say they influence move priority, like, for example, Quick Attack, like most priority moves, say they increase your turn order. Makes sense there. And certain moves like Bulldoze say they'll lower the enemy turn order. And I think also, Hisuian Electrode's signature move, Chloroblast, also says it has low move speed. But Moves that say nothing also affect turn order, so I don't know why they do that. There's also the matter of Agile Style and Strong Style. So Agile Style reduces your move power, and I believe it also reduces the chance of inflicting secondary effects like Burn. Strong Style increases your move power, also increases the chance of secondary effects, and increases the accuracy of a move, but it lowers your move order. Now you might be thinking, if you're watching this live, oh, did Cheese forget to say that Agile Style increases your move speed? No, I didn't forget. Does it actually increase your move speed? I've never seen it. It seems like the move speed bonus you get from Agile Style is way, way lower than the penalty you get from Strong Style. Because if you Agile Style and you're on a fast Pokemon, you'll maybe get an extra turn like 3 turns later. Whereas if you Strong Style a move pretty much ever, you're about to get double attacked. In my experience, and I think in most of your experiences as well. Also, whether you use Agile or Strong Style affects how long status lasts for. So if you Agile Style, say, Calm Mind, the boost lasts for less time than if you were to Strong Style Calm Mind. Status effects have been slightly reworked. Confusion is completely gone, as is Freeze. Confusion has sort of been folded into Drowsy, which is the new sleep status. It gives you a 50% chance to lose your turn instead of losing your turn guaranteed, and you also take more damage. And Freeze has been replaced by Frostbite, which is basically a special version of Burn. It does a small amount of damage at the end of your turn, and it reduces your special attack. Toxic Poison, I think, is actually gone. It's just regular poison. Status moves are basically mostly used to weaken Pokemon for capture, and also to power up the massive amount of Hex clones in this game. I think there's actually 4. There's a Hex, there's Bitter Malice, there's Infernal Parade, and then there's a Barb Barrage. Are there so many Hex clones? What the heck is going on? Move pools in this game are really different. A lot of moves have been culled. Most baffling to me, moves like Waterfall and Earthquake, like serious staple moves, are just gone. Several Pokemon have no real option for reliable 100% accurate attacks. Some Pokemon are just, like Hisui and Samurott, for example, are stuck with their best physical water move option as Aqua Tail, which has imperfect accuracy. I think they did this to incentivize you to use Strong Style. I don't really like it, but the different move pools are definitely going to affect the placement of quite a few Pokemon. Garchomp, for example, really wishes it had Earthquake and unnerfed, or I guess unreworked, Outrage. We'll talk about it in detail when we get to Pokemon who are actually affected, but just be ready for that. Multi-battles are in this game, although I don't really know if I would call them battles so much as just bullying, because you can never send out multiple Pokemon. It'll typically be a 1v3 where you just have to kind of sit there and then take it. And then we have to get hit 4 more times. Ridiculous. We do resist that. I guess, okay, if we can attack this Fiona again with like a Swift style move. Oh my god, this is brutal. Leave me alone. Ah. How many turns was that? It's not over. What's even the point of healing? Guys, how many turns is this? There's like 8 turns before we get to act again. It keeps going. It's horrible, and there's nothing you can do about it. There's no spread moves. Pretty much the best thing you can do is send out a fast and strong Pokemon and hope to KO one Pokemon, then you die, and then your next Pokemon can hopefully take out another one of the enemies, and then maybe die, and then your third Pokemon can hopefully finish the battle. Fun and interactive. It's horrible. Here's something you've never heard me say in a Pokemon tier list. Fast offensive Pokemon are good, and slow defensive Pokemon are worthless. It's even worse in this game because at least in the mainline games, slow defensive Pokemon can eventually win, like you can eventually sort of whittle down your opponent until you come out on top. That's not going to happen here, because in the mainline games, being slow means you go second. Here, being slow means you go third, because you're going to get doubled, which makes your defense even more worthless than it is anyway, since everything in this game does a zillion damage. One thing that's important to note is that you can turn offense into defense, but not really the other way around in this game, because if you're really fast, you can use either Calm Mind or Bulk Up to raise both your attack and defense at once. But if you're slow, you don't get the turns to be able to do that. So speed is really, really important in this game. So speed, important in a Pokemon game. More news at 11. EVs and IVs are gone, and they've been replaced by a system called Grit. So basically you stuff a bunch of dust and rocks on your Pokemon and it makes them really strong. How strong? In the climactic battle, my Alolan Ninetales, so that's Ice and Fairy, got crit by an Iron Head from Garchomp, and it survived. I mean, barely, but in a base game, you would be visiting Ninetales at Lavender Tower, right? It would be dead. So Grit makes an enormous difference. If you stuff a Pokemon with Grit, they can do fine no matter who they are. So no matter how bad a Pokemon is, in terms of its placement on this list, it's still usable, assuming you stuff it with Grit. It's just that the Pokemon that I think are useful in combat or useful overall don't need Grit to excel. Grit just makes their strengths strengthier. I'm not doing a retake. Alright, if you're watching the premium edit, you're lucky, because I've been rambling for about an hour without ranking a single Pokemon. Let's get started. So we're gonna start with the very first member of the Hisuian Dex, the Rowlet family, which caps off with Hisuian Decidueye. Looks really cool. Aesthetics don't count, they never do in these lists, but Hisuian Decidueye is modeled after a Ronin. In English, it's often translated as Masterless Samurai, which sounds really cool, but it's not masterless as in above masters, it's masterless as in unemployed. Right? Because being samurai, it was both a social class and it was a job. If you didn't have a master as a samurai, nobody was paying you. And how fitting that Hisuian Decidueye is modeled after an unemployed samurai, because I'm not employing this thing. It is easily the worst out of the Hisuian starters. It is not good. I don't think it's so bad that it goes in Why Bother, but man, this thing is underwhelming. The typing is okay. Grass fighting is fine. It's nothing to write home about. But the real issue is that this thing is slow as balls. It is dirt slow in a game where speed really matters. Its signature move, Triple Arrows, is okay. I mean, it looks cool. But for the most part, rather than alter your opponent's stats, you want to just buff your own with either Calm Mind or Bulk Up and then start destroying things. And boosting your crit just is worthless. Crits have not been good since they were nerfed in Gen 6. Another definition of Ronin in contemporary culture is it's people that have graduated from college in Japan but have not yet found a job. So it's a very romanticized way to say unemployed. It's also worth noting that out of the Hisuian starters, this is by far the worst against Giratina. It doesn't really do anything to it except a slow Shadow Claw, and you can do much better than that. Hisuian Typhlosion. I think some people don't like this thing, probably because when it was first leaked, they didn't see the flames, and to be fair, without the flames, it looks kinda lame, but with the flames, A+. I think this thing actually is very useful. It's probably the best fire type in the game, and also maybe the best ghost type in the game, which is a good thing, because both those things are really good. It's decently fast, and it does a lot of damage while having two very useful stab types, and it's with you for the entire game. Its signature move, Infernal Parade, is one of the Hex clones, and if you manage to status Giratina, you can then absolutely blow it up with Infernal Parade. So I think Hisuian Typhlosion, it gets an A in my heart, and also a placement in the highest tier. Ghost type is especially useful in this game because Game Freak was playing the Don't Learn Double Edge challenge impossible difficulty. it feels like every single Pokemon in this game has Double Edge and they're just spamming it. And as far as I can tell, wild Pokemon don't necessarily choose their moves, they kind of just use them randomly, so there's a good chance that if you're a Ghost type, your opponent will just waste their turn on Double Edge, because they all have it. Yeah, Ghost type moves are also just really good in general offensively since the Steel nerf. Hisuian Samurott, kind of a disappointing design in my opinion. It's basically just Samurott with edgy nail polish. It's still quadrupedal. Game Freak, please, you had a chance at redemption, you didn't do it. But you know, ignoring its design, it's really good. It's really good. I think it's actually, you could argue that it's better than Hisuian Typhlosion. Stats-wise, it's a little bit slower, but its signature move, Ceaseless Edge, is a dark type Stealth Rock. And how Stealth Rock works in this game is it's basically an end-of-turn damage move that is affected by type. So, what is the most dangerous Pokemon in the entire game that is weak to... happens to be weak to Ceaseless Edge? Oh, it's Giratina. Well, that's useful. And aside from that, it's just a water type. Water type is really good. And it's a dark type. Dark is pretty good on offense. And offense is what matters in this game. So, overall, Hisuian Samurott, pretty useful. Fun fact, the swords are called scimitars? That is a fun fact. Another fun fact, so the Japanese name of its signature move, Ceaseless Edge, is Hiken Chinami, which is... Secret Blade, 1,000 Waves. I guess it was just too long, so became Ceaseless Edge, sure. Bibarel. In a world where hidden moves don't exist, I believe... I forgot his name. The train dude. What's his name? Elliot? Ingo. Who's Elliot? Ingo even says that hidden moves don't exist in Hisui. What a great place to live. I wonder what happened to make this place into Sinnoh. But in a world without hidden machines, Bibarel really doesn't have a use. It's just got very, very, very lackluster stats in a game where you have so many better options available pretty early. So, honestly, I'm even inclined to put this in Why Bother, but I think because you get it right at the beginning of the game, it's literally the first Pokemon you catch. We'll put it in the very bottom of meh, but I don't really think there's a reason to use this. It doesn't really bring anything exceptional. If it had the ability Simple, maybe. But it simply doesn't. A fun thing you can do with Bibarel is a Giga Meme where you catch a bunch of Bibarel and use them as a bridge to cross water. Does that actually count in Bibarel's favor? No. Not on this list anyway. There is an Alpha Bibarel that you basically run right into on the way to Kleavor's Arena, but it's only like level 18 and Alpha Pokemon don't really have that many advantages over regular Pokemon, aside from being higher leveled, and Alpha Bibarel really isn't, so I don't think it's worth that much. Staraptor. Staraptor good in a Gen 4 adjacent game? I don't believe it. I do believe it. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah, Staraptor, as is tradition, is good. It's decently fast, it's got great attack, and its move pool isn't expansive, but it has the moves it needs, right? It can Double Edge you, it can Brave Bird you, it can Close Combat you, and you can actually sort of, kind of stall with it because it gets Roost. I don't know what else you're gonna put in your last move slot, you may as well Roost. Staraptor is good, more at 11. I guess all the news happens at 11. I'd probably put this a little bit lower, except that it is basically at the very start of the game. Otherwise, I'd probably just put it in useful combat. You might even say Staraptor is good in close combat. There's also an Alpha Staravia you can get pretty early. It's... what are the directions? It's either east or west. It's west. It's west of the second camp, the sort of central camp in Obsidian Fieldlands. You can pick up, I think, a level 32-ish. Alpha Staravia, if you feel so inclined, and pretty much evolves right away. Luxray. This thing's really good. I think it's actually even better than it is in the mainline games. In the mainline games, it's solid. I think here in Legends, it's one of the best Pokemon, which is very strange to say about a filthy pure type. I really wish this was a dual type. But you get it right at the beginning of the game. Really good attack. Okay, speed. The speed is a little sus, but what I think really sets it apart is that It still doesn't have that many great electric physical options, but because moves overall kind of suck in this game, Wild Charge being kind of bad is still good relative to all the other nerfed moves. And it's biting everything. It gets Crunch, it gets all the Elemental Fangs really early, and if you want to catch things, you get Thunder Wave. So this is the first of the Pokemon in Useful that I think is actually useful for both combat and capture, and is available super early and good throughout the entire game. That's quite a resume. Luxray, doing well. Luxray also has the distinction of having multiple alphas easily available. There's an alpha Luxio, pretty much exactly west of your very first starting camp. It's probably too high level for you to go catch it immediately, but you can also get an alpha Luxray in Coronet Highlands. So you've got alpha options if you don't want to grind one up and you just want to catch a high-leveled one right away. Dustox plays a very prominent role in the wonderfully crafted side quests in this game. That was sarcasm, by the way. The side quests in this game absolutely blow chunks, but one of the few in the game that's like kind of fun to work through is the Wurmple one. You gotta talk to Wurmple, and eventually becomes a Dustox. So in that sense, Dustox gets its moment in the sun, even though it's like a nighttime Pokemon. But as far as actually using it on your team in game, honestly, why bother? I think this thing's kind of crap. Can anybody think of anything in defense of Dustox? I mean, it's available early, but garbage stats, no scaling, bad typing. By level up, oh, I guess it gets Confusion kind of early, and it gets Poison Powder, that's the only one. And at level 34 it gets Extrasensory, ugh. And by tutoring it gets nothing useful. Yeah, this thing sucks. Why bother? Beautifly. Well, it's better than Dustox. It's still not great, but this at least gets Stun Spore, which is much better than Poison Powder, so we can put in useful for capture, and early on you can kind of sort of fight with it. Like, it's not the worst thing ever. You can hit it with Air Cutter, Bug Buzz eventually. I'm trying to find positive things to say. Stun Spore alone is why it gets the being useful. I mean, it's very quickly outclassed by a zillion things, but hey, at least you can Stun Spore things. Neither Beautifly nor Dustox have any static alphas, which is really unfortunate. Rapidash. Well, Ponyta is available right at the beginning of the game, right next to a Giga Chad Alpha Rapidash. The thing is, by the time you can actually capture the Rapidash, you can also capture a bunch of other alphas that are all way better. I think that the Ponyta line in general is just very underwhelming. It's a pure type, which is not good. Fire type is good, but you basically just get fire moves off of an okay attack stat, and 105 speed is fine. I mean, it's actually pretty good, but you'd think that a Pokemon named Rapidash would be a little bit faster, huh? Why isn't this like 120 speed? Come on. It's okay. I think we're gonna put it in below Hisui and Decidueye. And yeah, Ponyta is Garbo and doesn't evolve until a very high level. So really, if you're gonna use Rapidash, you should just catch the alpha. Somebody in chat reminded me, Rapidash gets Hypnosis. So, I mean, if it has Hypnosis, there you go. It's useful for capture. Congratulations, Rapidash, you did it. Pretty much if you get a Sleeper Paralysis inflicting move, you get to being useful for capture. Evolutions. I think this is the first time we've ever talked about all evolutions in a tier list, because we've never done a Gen 6 or beyond tier list. I know people really love evolutions. I don't. They're all pure types. Filthy pure types, which is really unfortunate. Once upon a time, back in the day, Jolteon, Espeon, and Vaporeon were like kind of okay, and Sylveon is still kind of okay in like VGC, because Hyper Voice hits both opponents. But in most contexts, the evolutions are just not good, and that holds true for this game too, so get ready to unsubscribe, because none of these are doing that well. We're not going to talk too much about each one, but alright, so Vaporeon, meh, I mean, one thing to note is that evolving the evolutions is kind of annoying, because the stones you can get either in distortions or you can mine them randomly from ore deposits, or you can spend merit points from collecting satchels to kind of evolve them. The most reliable one is actually Leafeon, because you can evolve it at the Mossy Rock, which is right in the first area. But you also have to catch Eevee in the first place, which is really annoying, because it's pretty rare in the field lens. It's pretty common in distortions, but distortions themselves are really annoying to trigger. So we'll talk about each one just briefly. Oh, you can also dig them up with Ursaluna, talking about the stones. We'll talk about each one just briefly. So Vaporeon is very meh. It's slow and defensive in a game where slow and defensive is bad. But hey, at least it's water type. I mean, that's pretty good. Glaceon, I mean, it's a slow ice type, which you probably cannot get until the end of the game because the actual ice rock that you use to evolve it is in Alabaster Icelands, but you can go ahead and evolve it with a Merit Points Ice Stone. It's very whatever, it's a slow ice type, who cares, but I mean, it's got good special attack. Are you ever gonna get a turn with your low speed? Probably not, whoops. Flareon, it's got really good attack, and it's a fire type. I mean, those are good things. It's really slow, though. Whoops. I mean, it's probably better than Glaceon. Maybe. It's fluffy. Oh, yeah, and there's no surf in this game, so that really sucks for Vaporeon. I think its best water move is, like, Aqua Tail. You can Water Pulse, I guess. Ugh, disgusting. Jolteon, it's really fast, and it Thunderbolts. I mean, that's pretty good. And you can get a Kana early? It's probably the best of those. We'll put Espeon with it, because it's basically the same, except slightly slower and slightly stronger, and it uses Psychic attacks. What are you going to do other than Psychic attacks with Espeon? I guess you can maybe Shadow Ball. What are you going to do other than Electric attacks with Jolteon? Nothing. Flareon only gets Fire Fang. F's in chat for Flareon, Fire, and Fang. Oof. Leafeon, I mean, grass is ass, what else is new? At least you can get it early, but slow, best stat is defense, and it has okay attack, but it's a grass type, so what are you actually gonna do? Sylveon is by far the best evolution. I think it actually goes and useful for combat because it's a fairy type, and fairy is giga OP as a typing. It's also really good against the most difficult battle in the game against the super boss, because it beats both Garchomp and Giratina, so... Because you can get it Kana early, all you need is Friendship, which you can easily do by just spamming Gathering Nodes. And you can evolve it as long as it knows Baby Doll Eyes, I think, and likes you. It'll become Sylveon. Sylveon basically only does Fairy attacks, but hey, Fairy's pretty good. Espeon should be in good for combat. You know what, with the amount of coverage it gets, sure. We'll put Espeon in good for combat as well. Oh, we didn't rank Umbreon. Umbreon actually sucks. Umbreon is actually garbage. Honestly, I'm tempted to put it in Why Bother. It's a really slow defensive Pokemon in a game where really slow defensive Pokemon are bad. We'll put it this way so people don't get too mad. Umbreon is not well suited to the mechanics of this game. And that's why it's in Why Bother. Sorry, Umbreon. Crobat. It's really fast. So it goes first, and it goes second, because speed matters a lot in this game. What does it actually do? That's a good question. Its move pool, unfortunately, is really lacking. Does it have Hypnosis? Oh, it does. Congratulations, Crobat. I think it actually goes in just overall useful, because it is insanely fast, which means you get many, many turns. You can inflict status, so there's your useful for capture. You're available early, so that's good. And I mean, the offenses aren't great, but they're okay. And you get to hit multiple times, so that kind of makes up for it. Really wishes you could get Brave Bird, but I mean, you can make do with what you have. And honestly, like, defensively, it's okay. Like, it's decently bulky, which is more than you can say for most Pokemon that are as fast as Crobat is, so congratulations, Crobat. You're probably never placing this high in a tier list again, because speed I don't think is ever as broken as it is in this game, but good job. Oh, Jolteon gets T-Wave? Oh, okay. Congratulations, Jolteon. Jolteon does not have T-Wave. I'm sorry, Jolteon. Vaporeon with only Aqua Tail is not better than Umbreon. I mean, okay, we should move Vaporeon down here. It's like barely not in Not Bother. Drifblim. I challenge you not to find one of these. They're absolutely everywhere. I don't think there are any static alpha spawns, but you don't really need one, so this is definitely a useful capture Pokemon. It's a ghost type, which as we mentioned before is really good because a lot of Pokemon just spam normal moves that completely don't affect you. Stats-wise, it's like very meh, but, I mean, it gets Hypnosis. So Hypnosis and a ghost type, that's on its own is pretty much enough for useful. It's not amazing or anything, but it's decent. You can put things to sleep or make them drowsy and then start hexing them, which is decent damage, or you can just try and capture them after making them drowsy. Sure. Not too exciting, but nothing really to hate here either. Why is this below Beautifly? Yeah, how did Drifblim go from the most common Pokemon in the game, one of the most common, to a static only Friday in Modern Sinnoh? I don't know, man. Ran away with the fire types. Well, it is a hot air balloon. Haha, okay. A Cricketune. Diddle-diddle-diddle. Whoop! I mean, it's fun. We all love Cricketune. We know where this goes, right? It's garbage. It's bad. Why would you ever use Cricketune? Can you give me a reason? You have 1 minute in chat. I lied. You have 15 seconds. Impossible challenge. It can't be done. I mean, garbage stats, garbage move pool. Pretty much the best thing you can say about this is you're guaranteed to encounter the alpha since it's a story thing, and there's another one like right behind the mountain, I guess south of the mountain. Whatever. Oh, it does have a sleep-inducing move? Does it? I mean, it gets rest, which inflicts drowsy on itself. Yeah, garbage. No. Floatzel. Really fast. Water type's good. Useful for combat. I think we'll put it above Espeon because it's easier to get. I mean, Floatzel is really fast in a game where fast counts for a lot. Its offense is okay. I think it's good enough to get it into useful for combat, but I'm not that excited about it. But I mean, hey, fast water type can't be that bad, right? And you can bite a lot of stuff with Elemental Fangs, which is nice. I don't want to hold Floatzel responsible for the sins of its pre-evolution. I mean, the Big Buizel quest is maybe the worst one in the entire game. It's close between that and the Cherrim one, but I don't think we can hold that against Floatzel, because you don't have to do the quest, because most quests in this game are just boring and give you no useful rewards. All of the Burmy evolutions, so there's actually 4 potential forms. We'll talk about Mothim first, because it's the easiest to talk about. Imagine being a bad version of Beautifly. Yikes. Yikes. Where does this go? Here, I guess? I don't think it gets any powder moves. Correct me if I'm wrong, now's your chance, but I don't think it gets any powder moves. So it's basically just... It has slightly better offenses than Beautifly, but like, that's not saying much. This thing's garbage. Yeah, no powders. Okay, there's a few static alpha Mothim. Well, that doesn't save it. Why would you ever use this? But at least it's offensively minded. I mean, it definitely offends me. So that gets it to meh. Barely, I think. If you happen to be a female Burmy, you can evolve into one of 3 fantastic forms. You can become Grass Cloak Wormadam. So Grass Bug, you can become Sand Cloak, Ground Bug, or you can become Trash Cloak, which is Steel Bug. Trash is right, because all 3 of these are complete trash. Oh my goodness. By far the best one is Trash Cloak, but it's still bad. Holy moly, what are you doing with these things? Super slow. Doesn't do anything useful. Why would you ever use this as your Steel Bug type when you could use Giga Chad Scizor? And there's also the fact that Trash Cloak, which is the best one, is available the latest, right? It's not available until the 3rd area. And before then, you're stuck with these losers. Grass Cloak is underrated. The fact that I didn't just delete it from the list means I'm giving it more respect from it deserves. Actually worse than Cricketune, because, I mean, at least Cricketune is easy to get. Golem. The Boulder! I really want it to be good. I want to put it in useful for combat, but it's just so slow. It's so slow. I think we're going to put it near the very top of meh. Basically, you have to backstrike with it and hope that you take the opponent out in one hit, which is possible because your attack is pretty good. Unfortunately, your best ground-type move is Bulldoze, which is really unfortunate. No high horsepower. So you're going to be using Bulldoze, Stone Edge, and I guess Elemental Punches, which, I mean, that's okay coverage, but man, this thing is slow. It does benefit from being pretty much everywhere. You can get an Alpha Graveler in the very first zone. It's just kind of rolling around near Orboro Tunnel. And later on, you can go ahead and pick up an Alpha Golem if you want, although it's in the same zone as Alpha Rhyperior, and spoiler alert, Alpha Rhyperior just kicks this thing's butt, almost literally, with the horseshoe, because it gets high horsepower and just has better stats. So Golem, I think, is a very solid meh Pokemon, I mean, because it's made of rock, but pretty much almost strictly outclassed by Rhyperior, unfortunately. But hey, Geodude is my mom's favorite Pokemon, so I can't do Golem that dirty. It's okay. Weird Ear. Slow. Which is weird because it was made for this game and is your ground mount that's supposed to let you go fast and it has like 65 base speed. What? The evolution method is really annoying. You have to Agile Style Psy-Shield Bash 20 times, and Psy-Shield Bash only has 10 PP, so you have to do at least 4 PP refreshes, and it only has 90 accuracy, so you're gonna miss a fair amount. That's really annoying. So how good is Weird Ear once you actually get it? I mean, it's got okay mixed offenses. It's a normal psychic type. It's pretty meh. Does it get Hypnosis? I mean, if it gets Hypnosis, then we can maybe put it in useful for capture because you can raise your own defenses and weaken the opponent using Psy-Shield Bash. So I think it goes in useful for capture. Barely. I'm not too excited about it, but hey, if you get a status move, I mean, that's something. Snorlax. There are apparently non-alpha Snorlax in the game. I've never seen them. I think you can find them in the Hot Spring in the last area or in Spatial Distortions. But, I mean, there's an alpha Snorlax right in the first area of the game. It's in, like, all the trailers. Everybody makes, like, memes about it because it's really easy to meme about a Snorlax with, like, glowing red eyes. It's really slow. That sucks. Otherwise, it would probably be useful for combat. The thing is, like, it's really slow, and in terms of combat, it's just, like, okay, right? It's just okay. You can use it to help make a video about Potato Mochi, and if you backstrike with it, you can maybe knock the opponent out before they start double or triple attacking you. This thing is dirt slow. I think we'll put it to actually below Golem. If you catch the alpha, it's fine. You can probably get in a good hit, but you do not want to be in an extended battle with this thing. Parasect. So the main selling point of Parasect in most games is that it gets Spore. And Spore is really powerful because it's a guaranteed sleep. And sleep completely locks down your opponent in the main game. In this game, even non-Spore sleep moves have okay accuracy. So the main good thing about Parasect is no longer applicable. Honestly, despite the fact that it has Spore, I think Parasect is so horrific that it goes in Why Bother. We'll put it at the top because you can backstrike them and Spore them and then die, so at least you did something, but oh my god, this thing is horrible. One of the worst typings ever, and at least it can Spore, so it's better than this abomination, but holy moly, it's so bad. The most you can hope for is a backstrike Spore. Maybe your opponent doesn't move, and then you get to throw a Pokeball before you die. And of course, we have to talk about how annoying Paras is. Because it is absolutely everywhere, and it is out for blood. Little did it know the blood that's going to be spilled is its own horrible Pokemon. Raichu! Congratulations, Raichu. Useful for capture. It's a really fast Thunder Wave that you can get fairly early. And you get Pikachu right away, which is like, yeah, but you can Thunderstone it to Raichu, at which point you have, I think, 110 base speed. Thunder Wave, which if you Swift Style, or is that what it's called? Agile Style? If you Agile Style it, you can then maybe follow up with a Thunderbolt, which is okay. And then you can switch to a real Pokemon to actually fight with. Alakazam. Where do you think this goes? Yeah, not too hard to predict. Really good. Really good. The main drawback of Alakazam is that Abra is useless, but because of the way experience works in this game, where your whole team gets experience for pretty much everything, the useless stage of Abra is just a non-issue. You can also just catch Kadabra right away as well, over in the Sandgem Flats, I think, in the first area. Once you do that, wow, you've got an incredibly fast and strong Psychic type. That's pretty good. It gets Dazzling Gleam, right? I think it's actually better than Sylveon. It is, of course, a complete glass cannon, right? If it ever gets touched, it explodes, but that applies to pretty much every Pokemon in this game, right? And there is also an alpha in Sandgem Flats that you can get that's like level 60. Like, what moves do you run on this? I guess Psychic, Shadow Ball, Dazzling Gleam, and fourth move, Calm Mind, I guess. Good Pokemon. Infernape. Monkey. Infernape being good in a Gen 4 game? I've never heard of such a thing! It's really good. it's really good. Luckily, there is a quest that gives you a Chimchar. Well, I mean, you have to catch it, but it gives you a Chimchar encounter in the first area, and there's also the static Alpha Infernape on the island in the first area. Stats-wise, we already know Monkey is really good. It's fast, it's strong, it gets great moves. You can also find wild ones in Deer Track Heights, wild Chimchar and Monferno in Deer Track Heights, but they're kind of rare. It's much better to just get the guaranteed one or go for the alpha. I mean, fast, strong, firefighting type. What else is there to say? It's not quite as good as in the mainline games. Lopunny, or Baniri and Lopunny. Very underwhelming. I mean, it's a normal type. Who cares? At least it's fast. And you can get an alpha fairly early at the edge of Eterna Forest. But I mean, what do you actually do with this? It's fast and goes first, and like, then what? Very boring, unfortunately. I think because you can get the static alpha, it's like, I think above Bibarel as well. But I'd rather just use Snorlax, because Snorlax is strong enough that if you backstrike, at least it'll probably kill the opponent. Whereas Lopunny kind of just does nothing. Very disappointing. Is it disappointing though? Because I mean, who actually expects anything from normal types? I know that I don't at this point. Cherim. The subject of one of the most annoying quests in the game. I'm honestly tempted to put it in Why Bother. Does this thing get powder moves? By leveling up in LA. Oh, it does get Sunspore. Okay, congratulations. It's really, really annoying to find. Apparently, you can get a Cherim in Eterna Forest. I have almost 130 hours played total in between my two runs. I've literally never seen an Eterna Forest. Never. You can get one from a Shaking Tree in Crimson Mirelands. Good luck with that. The most reliable place to get it is Coronet Highlands, so you're already getting pretty late game. And at that point, like, it's sort of getting to Why Bother, but I mean, get Stun Spore, so probably going to be the very, very bottom of useful for capture, because hey, you can Stun Spore something with it. And if you're in Sunlight, its stats are like kind of okay. If you're not in sunlight, its stats are even worse. And yeah, it used to be bugged, where you couldn't actually catch its Sunlight form, but now you actually can. The main issue with the Sunlight form is that it's never active. Like, it has to both be daytime and it has to actually be sunny. So if there's any form of weather, even cloudy, you don't get Sunlight form. Ursaluna. I think some people might be surprised by this. I'm also kind of surprising myself, but I think Ursaluna is actually a useful for combat Pokemon. You can't really see it on screen now, but you will see it in the edit. This thing has Giga Chad stats. They're insane. It's basically Snorlax plus. This thing is ridiculous. It's like invincible. It has, physically, it's invincible. And specially, it's not that bad. It's got like 80 special defense and a titanic HP stat. This thing is crazy. Really, the only thing holding it back is that it's really slow, so it relies on being a backstrike knockout, but I mean, your opponent is dead. Your opponent is dead. Notably, it gets the Earthquake of this game. It's sort of a ground-type close combat. It's called Headlong Rush. What a boring name. Doesn't sound strong, doesn't sound like a ground move, but it is strong and it's a ground move. Absolutely crazy stats. Very good. If it hits you, you're dead. And if it gets hit, it's not dead. And yeah, there's multiple Alpha Ursa rings, like take your pick. Honestly, the worst thing I can say about it is that the evolution method is really annoying. There's an RNG way to do it and a reliable way to do it. So you need an item to evolve it, which is the peat block. You can either dig for it randomly in the marsh area, which is pretty annoying. You might get it. That's how I did it. You can also, I believe, buy it for merit points. And you can get a guaranteed one as a quest reward from that really annoying like lady that keeps getting lost. The last one will actually give you a peat block. Once you have the peat block, your ordeals are not over because you have to actually evolve it under a full moon. I don't think this is actually RNG because the moon follows a cycle. So it's not actually RNG, but it is really annoying. Basically what you do is have Ursaring in your party, you have the peat block. You check if you can evolve it at nighttime, and if you can't, you just sleep until the next night. And if you can't evolve, you sleep until the next night. Really boring, but I mean, if you're really intent on getting Ursaluna, you can probably do it in about 10 minutes. Good job, Ursaring. You finally got it. An evolution. Golduck. There's no C tier, but you know how I feel about this thing. So boring, so mediocre. Whatever, man. I think it's worse than Vaporeon. It's a water type. Water's a pretty good type. You can get it early in the game. What do you actually do with this? It has hypnosis? Really? Congratulations. Probably better than Charm. It has hypnosis because it puts me to sleep. So boring. Not even a psychic type. Well, the fact that it's not a psychic type is not as bad as it sounds, because Psyduck in Japanese is just Kodaku, which is little duck. So nothing about being psychic. It should still be a psychic type, though. Lamau Vespiquen. I mean, that's a pretty good summary. Is it in Why Bother? It might be. Why Bother Vespiquen, trash coverage. Literally Lamautu? Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Okay, so to get Vespiquen, you have to get a female Combi. And most Combi are male, right? So once you eventually hunt a female Combi, you can evolve it up to Vespiquen, and you get nothing. You get a defensively leaning bug flying type. Wow. What is this thing the queen of? It's not even the queen of Why Bother, because I think Parasect is better, because at least Parasect can spore things. Horrible. Also, something that really bothers me, why bother? Something that really bothers me is, why in the world do you get the rock plate from Vespiquen? So Cleavor, the new rock type evolution that they added to this game for Scyther, gives you the insect plate. And post-game, a random Vespiquen gives you the rock plate. What? What happened? I guess Vespiquen has a set alpha in the Crimson Marlins, but no, that does not save it. Yeah, Vespiquen also has the dishonor of getting a bunch of signature moves and then getting them all taken away for like no reason. So sad. Deposed. Bug-type fans rejoice, because we've been pretty cruel to them so far. They're about to get redeemed, so... Scyther! I gave that a try. The whole Scyther line is amazing. Scyther is definitely, I think, an overall useful Pokemon. It is one of the earliest Pokemon you can catch that has a 500 base stat total. Really good. Really good. It's really fast, and I think all of the Scyther forms have their own use. Like, they all excel at a different thing. So Scyther has good attack and is the fastest. I would put this above Crobat. Cleavor is sort of the balance, where it's a little bit slower, but it has even better attack and better offenses because it also gets Rock Stab. And Caesar is the slowest, which is unfortunate, but it also has very good attack and by far the best typing, right? It can actually survive hits. And all of them have a really good move pool with, like, offensive moves that you want. So, like, they can kill things. They can also weaken things with False Swipe. And they can boost themselves. And yeah, you can also, like, Bullet Punch up a Storm with Scizor if you want. Like, all of them excel in their own ways at very useful things. So, it is a very good game to be a member of the Scyther line. They are all really good. This order here is very malleable. Like, all three of them are just great. The bug type redemption arc is not over because we've got Heracross. You've got the alpha very easily catchable in the Obsidian Fieldlands. It's in, I believe, the Grueling Grove. I mean, it's Heracross. It's good in basically every game it's in, and this is no exception. You want a bug that's gonna beat up your opponents? Go with Heracross. I'm gonna put it right here. I don't think it's quite as good as Monkey, but it hits really hard. It's okay speed, and it's very reliable to catch. You can close combat things. You can Mega Horn things. You can bulk up. Good Pokemon. Mr. Mime. Mime has Hypnosis? Well, that's good. Well, if it has Hypnosis and Fairy and Psychic typing, mostly the Fairy typing, that's pretty good. I think it's better than Weird Ear. It's pretty unexciting, but, I mean, it's got a good typing, and it's got Hypnosis, so at the very least, we can put it in useful. It's also very useful for keeping me awake. This thing is a nightmare. I hate it. Yeah, I mean, this thing causes more nightmares than Darkrai, right? It's basically here because it can Hypnosis things. And late in the game, I guess if for some reason you like Mr. Mime, it's not the worst thing ever because it's a fairy, which matches up really well against the Super Boss's team. Ambipom. I mean, it's fast, so it goes first. And then what? Whatever. Whatever. I think it's better than Lopunny. But Lopunny has an earlier alpha, so, I mean, you could maybe switch these, but I don't think anybody is going to bat for either of them. It's a fast normal type that goes first and then doesn't really do anything. It's also everywhere, like, it's really annoying. Why is this thing all over the Alabaster Icelands? It, like, does not fit. And I hope Hisui has universal healthcare, because it's got to get those hands checked out. They're, like, inflamed. I'm looking out for you, buddy. Get help. Gyarados. Can you predict where Gyarados is going in a game where we can skip the Magikarp phase? It's pretty good. it's pretty good. I'm debating whether to put this in just overall useful or in useful for combat above Floatzel. It really misses Intimidate because Intimidate's super good. But Gyarados on its own is really strong. It's really strong. In fact, I think it's so much stronger. When I say stronger, I mean like in terms of attack. I think it's so much stronger than Floatzel that I'll put it above Floatzel. So Floatzel has the speed edge, but it might just have to use that to compensate for not being able to actually knock things out, whereas Gyarados is fast enough and will probably just kill you because it's Gyarados, so it's really hard. So you can get a Magikarp in the first area, actually. And Magikarp is like level 16, so it's not even that long to, I mean, just get it leveled up through killing other things. And just get the passive XP, and then you get a Gyarados. Gyarados is really good. More news at 11. There's a lot of news at 11, guys. I mean, what new is there to say about Gyarados? Insane stats for the point in the game where you can get it. The only problem is you have to get through the Magikarp phase, and in this game, getting through the Magikarp phase is easier than ever. Really wish it had a stab flying move, but oh well, you can't have everything. Magikarp is in the water where you need Basculegion. You can just lure it with berries and catch it. You don't actually need Basculegion to catch it. Gastrodon line. They're so cute. And they can be cute in the meh tier above Vaporeon, I guess. Water, ground, amazing typing. What do you actually do with it? Not die in a normal game, but in this game, where being slow, which they're very slow, means you get doubled or tripled, you'll still die, unfortunately. So, not really good as a defensive Pokemon, not really good as an offensive Pokemon, but hey, Water, ground's a good type. And you can get one early. Sand Gem Flats, you can get both Shellos and Gastrodon, and there's a static alpha in the Cobalt Coastlands on like an island, so you can probably find something to do with it, but I don't think it's great. Yeah, I mean, obviously if you get hit by a grass move, you're Gastrodon for, but even neutral moves repeatedly are going to take you out eventually. Eventually meaning before you ever get a second turn, so unfortunate. Overquill. Surprisingly good, I would say. I still don't think it's great, but it's neat. It's got a good typing. Poison Dark. Dark is really good because, remember, most difficult encounter in the game is against a Ghost Dragon type, so having a Dark type is really good. This is our first Dark type? Well, I guess there was Samurott and Umbreon, unfortunately. But yeah, it gets no physical Dark moves, which is really unfortunate, and its special attack is terrible. I think if it had a physical Dark move, I'd be able to put it in useful for combat, like if it had Night Slash. But without that, I'm leaning much more towards meh, probably around this area. I think it's better than these like random normal types. Dark Poison with Liquidation is neat. Yeah, Liquidation's a good move. Its signature move, Bar Barrage, is yet another Hex Clone. I think it's Hex Clone number 2 that we've covered so far. It's sort of like a Venoshock that can also poison, but it also benefits from statuses that aren't just poison. So it's overall just way better than Venoshock. But Venoshock is not very good. Blissey. What do we do with this thing? Lamau Blissey, that's what I'm thinking. Bottom of meh? I mean, if you're gonna be tanky, you may as well be Blissey. The one thing I can say in Blissey's favor is that it scales really well with Grit. Because Grit can buff up all your stats, even though your base defense is garbo. If you grit it up, since you have insane HP, you end up being able to survive things? Is that useful? Not really, because you're not attacking and actually taking things out. Why do we bother with this thing? I don't think we do. Offensively, this thing is useless. Is it better than... I think it's better than Umbreon. Yeah, sure. So, I mean, if you're using a... Yeah, basically... Snorlax and Ursaluna are both also tanky normal types, except they can also hit back, so... Blissey is a wall in a game where walls don't really work. There is an early alpha. It's up a cliff, so you're supposed to Sneasler to it, but you can just Skyrim your way up the cliff with Weirdeer, and that works as well. So you can get the alpha kind of early, but like then what? Useful for XP, that's true. I mean, unironically, Blissey's best use is getting killed to level up the rest of your team. It is actually very useful for that, but I don't think that counts on this list. Alright, Roserade, you think grass types are bad? Bruh, do. I mean, yeah, they are bad, but Roserade is actually pretty good. We're gonna put it at the very bottom of useful because you can get the static alpha right next to Lilligant's arena. You can powder stuff, so there's your use for capture. And although its stab is kind of, it's not good, but its stats are really good. It's decently fast with really good special attack, and you get both Dazzling Gleam and Shadow Ball, which are both really useful for the most difficult fight in the game. I think there's a better grass type you can use. We're gonna get there soon. But on its own merits, I think Roserade is actually quite useful in many aspects of, like, specific to Legends Arceus gameplay. Congratulations, Roserade. Carnivine. No prizes for guessing this one. Carnivine has powders, does it? I checked this yesterday and I already forgot because I don't care. I'll get Stun Spore and Sleep Powder. Sleep Powder at level 34, ugh. It's so bad. But at least you can powder things. And it's not like Parasect levels of it instantly dies, right? But it's close. By the criteria we've laid out, Carnivine gets to be at the very bottom of useful because, I mean, you can status stuff with it. And I guess it's available in the second area and there's like an alpha for it, but if it was up to me, I'd just put in why bother. I hate this thing. It's so annoying. Above Cherim because they're everywhere? Yeah, good point. Wow, really sucks to be Cherim. The moment grass type fans have been waiting for. Plant with leg. Hisuian Lilligant. Are you ready? Good Pokemon. Really good Pokemon. It's basically tailor-made to excel in this game, right? Grass and Fighting is like, yeah, it's an okay typing. It's got status moves, so hey, useful for capture. And the real reason why it's anywhere near the top of this list is it gets the best move in the game, Victory Dance. Yeah, it's basically an Omni Boost. It gives plus attack and defense. So it's like Bulk Up and Calm Mind, which boost both your stats in this game. And it also gives you the double hit effect. So in addition to actually boosting your attack, your next, I believe, 2 attacks deal 50% more damage. What a good move. That's ridiculous. Like, the reason why Hisui and Decidueye is unemployed is because this thing exists. Why would you ever use Hisui and Decidueye when Hisuian Lilligant blows it out of the water in basically every aspect? Yeah, it's also much faster than regular Lilligant, which is great. I think it's 105 in both attack and speed. Tangrowth. Gets powders. It also has legs, but they're a little stubbier than Lilligant's. So Tangrowth, I mean, it's got powders. As far as Pokemon whose main utility is being able to powder things, at least Tangrowth can kind of, sort of also fight. Its move pool really sucks. And it's a pure grass type, so forget about actually surviving things. But, I mean, we can put it... I think it's probably better than Weirdeer. It's very easy to find alpha, like, right in front of you in Crimson Mireland. So you can catch that one, You can powder some stuff, and it's got good, I believe, special attack. So, I mean, it does kind of hurt, but, I mean, pure grass type and a very lackluster move pool is what I think keeps it from actually being a useful Pokemon like Roserade. Roserade is definitely way better. But Tangrowth, for a grass type, not that bad. It's not better than Weirdeer. Why not? Weirdeer, you gotta do a bunch of work to evolve it into Weirdeer, and even then, it's, like, not very exciting. Weirdeer has 4 legs, though. I mean, if we are going by legs, which is a criteria we've used on plants, right? Definitely Lilligant wins. It's got 2 legs. Tangrowth also has 2 legs, but they're kind of short. Roserade also has 2 legs. Why are we talking about this? Whatever. Wiscash. Water ground typing. That's pretty good. Where's the other water ground type? Uh-oh. I mean, these two are basically interchangeable. Wiscash has very bad stats. I don't know why they're so bad. It's kind of thick, but I mean, its speed just sucks. These are both basically the same. They're really good types stapled onto really bad stats. In a game where their weaker stats, speed, really matter, unfortunately. So, to the bottom of meh. Is there an Alpha Wiscash anywhere? I think there's an Alpha Wiscash in one of the lakes. Alabaster Iceland's lake has an Alpha Wiscash. Who cares? Yeah, that's really late. You've got so many better things you could be doing than catching Alpha Wiscash. Toxicroak. Super annoying because these guys have, like, sniper vision. And they don't just attack you, they, like, run around and, like, try to flank you. And eventually, like, shoot poison at you. Super duper annoying. In terms of actually using them, meh. Kinda slow. Oh, that's not true. It's just like mediocre speed. Mediocre typing. Mediocre move pool. Mediocre Pokemon. You can get the Alpha in Home of Trials, which you can actually access without Basculegion. You can just jump there. But I mean, what are you really doing with this thing? You've got better options. Yeah, this is a Pokemon that really wishes it had abilities back because Dry Skin is really good. Gardevoir, hey! People really like Gardevoir. Psychic Fairy's a really good type. Where do we put Alakazam's all the way up here? I think it's very good. What do we do? Well, I don't think it's quite this far. I think it's basically just better than Sylveon. Oh, it has Hypnosis? Okay. We'll put it above Roserade. Being able to Hypnosis things is useful, because that lets you catch them. Psychic Fairy is a really good type. Well, I mean, Fairy is a really good type. Psychic's also there. You do have to be careful, because although Moonblast does destroy Giratina, you also get absolutely destroyed by Shadow Force, so watch out for that. Its speed is like, it's acceptable. I wish it was faster, but it's not that bad. It's got a pretty good move pool. It gets the moves you want, basically. On a good typing. I just wish Ralts and Curlia didn't suck so much. They're both pretty garbage. You pretty much can't use them until you get to Gardevoir. There is an Alpha Gardevoir, but it is all the way in Alabaster Iceland, so you've got to wait quite a bit for that. But you do have the option to use Ralts, Curlia, and I guess a naturally evolved Gardevoir, starting in Crimson Mirelands, and then you can go ahead and get the Alpha in Alabaster Iceland if you feel so inclined, which you might be, because this thing's pretty good. Congratulations. Is Gallade also pretty good? Well, it gets Hypnosis, right? So, kind of. It's definitely worse than Gardevoir, because as opposed to having a type that beats the strongest Pokemon in the game, you have a type that does literally nothing against the ghost typing of Giratina. That's unfortunate, but I think that Gallade also gets a whole suite of useful moves. It gets basically all of the slashing moves, so you get Night Blade, that's a cool move, but it doesn't exist. Night Slash and Leaf Blade is what I was trying to say. Psycho Cut, and like, good stats, right? Okay speed and very good attack, and you can Hypnosis things, so that's something. The Alpha situation is pretty much the exact same as Gardevoir. There's just the static Alpha also in the Alabaster Icelands, but it's in Snowpoint Temple instead of just out in the field. So it's like slightly harder to get, but whatever, not really. Useful overall. Just be mindful that it's a bit harder to get because the Ralts or Curlia has to be male, whereas either male or female can evolve into Gardevoir. Oh yeah, and Gallade also gets False Swipe if you're into that. Hypnosis and False Swipe, both on the same Pokemon, hey. Yanmega. So Yanmega has one of the best abilities in Pokemon history, Speed Boost. Speed Boost is not in this game. That sucks. So that means that Yanmega is basically just a very mediocre attacker with middling speed, which I think puts it here-ish. You can easily get an alpha Yanmega in Crimson Marlins. Oh, it has Hypnosis? Congratulations. It goes here then. I think it's better than these guys. Is it better than Tangrowth? I think it's actually better than Tangrowth. It's a little bit faster. Yeah, the type is terrible. If you ever get touched, you're gonna die, but that applies to most Pokemon in this game, unfortunately. So, considering that it has Hypnosis and actually hits kind of hard, we can put it here above Tangrowth. But yeah, Bug Flying is bad. I mean, you can Air Slash, you can Bug Buzz, you can Ancient Power, Hypnosis. There's your moveset, I guess. Hippowdon. It's thick. It's slow. That's not good. Where does this go? I think it's actually about here-ish. I wish Earthquake was in this game. That would be nice. It probably gets high horsepower, right? You can backstrike something, hit it with fairly strong high horsepower, but very good bulk really doesn't mean anything in this game. It mostly means that you die in 2 hits instead of 1, but you still die before you ever get your second turn because you're gonna get doubled, which sucks. Oh, it gets high horsepower and the Elemental Fangs? Oh, okay. In that case, we'll basically, it's like budget Golem. I think Golem's better. There's also an easily available alpha right there in the middle of Crimson Marlin, so that's a point in its favor as well. Strong enough to maybe take your opponent out with a backstrike, and you might survive a turn if you don't take them out. Maybe, if you're lucky. Pachirisu. Thunderwave. The Pokemon. Whatever. It's not even that fast. But it won Worlds. I don't care. Oh wait, you're right. There's a set alpha for Pachirisu. I don't care. Skuntank. Got a set alpha as well in the Crimson Marlins. Poison Dark is a pretty good type. Where do you put Overquill? It's basically Overquill, except I think it actually gets Night Slash, so that's nice. I think it's a little bit better. Stats-wise, it's worse, but it gets a good physical dark move. That's nice. And you can get Flamethrower, Play Rough. Pretty decent moves, but overall still kinda underwhelming. Really wishes it was faster. Hisuian Goodra. Can you say Goodra? I mean, it's pretty good. It doesn't blow you away in any one aspect, but its stats are overall just good. And also Steel Dragon is, as you all know, an amazing typing. So I think we're actually going to put it here-ish. So this is actually a Pokemon that can survive hits. Just because it has very good defenses at a base, and it has a really good typing. Before I say it's not that slow, let me make sure it's not actually that slow. It might actually be that slow. Let me see. Hisuian Goodra, 60 base speed. Uh-oh. It's pretty slow. But I mean, it's got its own signature move, Shelter, which is pretty good, which actually makes it capable of tanking. And really great defensive typing. And it hits decently hard on either side you want. It gets pretty good moves. And you also get it surprisingly early because it's in the Home of Trials, which you can actually get to without Basculegion. You can just jump there. Yeah, I guess a concise way of saying what makes Goodra better than other slow Pokemon is a 600 base stat total. Onix! And also its evolution, Steelix. Onix in our playthrough had the courage to stand against the god of the world itself. I mean, he gave everything for the cause. Good job, Onix. Yeah, so even though we took Onix into the final battle, it's not good. it's not good. Sadly. And I wouldn't say that Steelix is a good wall either. I mean, it's got very high defense, but good lord, it's slow. So you're getting double or triple attacked, and if the opponent has a special attack, just goodbye. All that being said, I don't think it's in Why Bother. There's alphas for both forms pretty easily available. As far as purely walling Pokemon go, it's on the better end of those. You can Power Trick, I guess, to give yourself offense, but that's not worth it. I guess, so we'll mention what the strategy was actually bringing Onix into the Arceus battle. So we're trying to manipulate the new Judgment mechanic. So how Judgment works now is that it makes Arceus unwallable because Judgment will always strike your weakness. And it changes Arceus to that type, and it tries to optimize defensively as well. So Onix is quadruple weak to both water and grass, but Judgment becomes grass because grass, I guess, resists ground, which is one of Onix's types. And then because Onix was judged unworthy, and Arceus is now a grass type, well, we know that grass is ass, so that makes Arceus way easier to beat. So that is the sacrificial Onix strategy. Good job, Onix, you gave it your all. You weren't there to see the victory, but you were a part of making it happen. Bad. Rhyperior. It's basically just strictly better Golem? So that's where it's gonna go. It's Golem, except its moves are better and its stats are slightly better as well. Sudowoodo. I'm tempted to put this in Why Bother. Sudowoodo can boost with Calm Mind and destroys water and ground mons with Wood Hammer. Why would you do that with Sudowoodo? It's so slow. And being slow makes boosting worse since it costs more of your total turns, right? You get fewer turns. I'm not gonna put it in Why Bother, because I mean, it's got like, okay attack and stuff. Sudowoodo, my favorite grass type, yeah. Whatever, I think it goes like here. It's not so bad that it's Don't Bother, because you can get it early and it hits kinda hard. So I mean, you can backstrike with it and maybe take the opponent out. I hope you do, because you're never getting another turn again. This thing is slow. Has a really great Japanese name though, Usotsuki. It means fake tree, and also liar. Hilarious. Licky Licky. It's a slow defensive Pokemon that doesn't necessarily excel in defense. I mean, it's better than Blissey. We can put it next to Sudowoodo, I guess. Why would you ever use this thing? Why? Its offenses aren't that bad. It's like 80 on both, I think. I looked this up last night because I had no idea what to say about Licky Licky. There's so many better things you could be doing than using an overall boring normal type like this one. Look at all the possibilities in the wonderful world of Pokemon. You're gonna go with this thing? I don't think so. But I mean, you can, so I'm not gonna put it in Why Bother. Togekiss. Good? Good Pokemon? Good Pokemon. How good? Really good. Here? So, Togekiss had an amazing glow up, right? Because Gens 2 through 3, it was hot garbage. Gen 4, it finally got the Togekiss evolution, became, you know, pretty good. I mean, no longer a meme. And then Gen 6 with the fairy typing, oh my goodness. In fact, I think actually, we might use this, we might actually move this up to useful, just because this is one of the single best Pokemon you can use against the Super Boss battle. In fact, if I was to recommend a Pokemon to fight him with, it would be this one, because it's very good against both his regular team and the follow-up surprise double Giratina. It's actually like, remove this up. We're gonna put this like, it's not that good. We're gonna put this like here. It's like an insane combat Pokemon for that battle. And it's the hardest battle in Pokemon history, so Fairy is a pretty good type. We'll say that. You can get Togepi. I think the earliest you can get it is Cobalt Coastlands. Although you can catch a flying Togetic in Crimson Mirelands, but that's like really annoying. There's also flying Togetic in First Area, but you need Sneasler to get it. It's useful, and because it's a fairy type, and it has Roost, this is also one of the very few Pokemon who can wall. Oh, you can get a Togepi in Mirelands? I didn't know that. Where is it? I guess it's like walking on the ground in the same area as the flying Togetic. Torterra! This basically goes in the go first and hope you one-shot them crew with a backstrike. They're all here. Yeah, you can get Turtwig in like a little alcove off in the east of Crimson Mirelands, but there's also an alpha one in the home of Trials in the Mirelands, level 65. It gets Headlong Rush, same move as Ursaluna, but Ursaluna is just better. Ursaluna has insane stats, and Torterra just has like okay stats. Does it get Sleep Powder? Oh, it does. Congratulations, Torterra, you did it. Well, here we go. In that case, let's put it here. Yep. It's basically in the Tangrowth tier where you can powder something, and if you ever get another turn, because you're slow as dirt, literally you're a ground type, you could probably deal damage with Headlong Rush. Porygon Z. I believe this is the first Distortion exclusive Pokemon we have to talk about. So that really sucks, because Distortions are very, very annoying. They're super random. As far as I can tell, if you never use a long rest, for 40 minutes, you're guaranteed to get a Distortion. In what universe are you playing a game where you don't use a long rest at some point within 40 minutes? Maybe, if you're like trading a bunch of different Pokemon, but it's really, really annoying to get. And once you get it, it's... okay. It's got very good special attack, that's true. But I mean, it's normal type, so what are you really doing, right? At least Hyper Beam doesn't suck in this game. Oh, it gets T-Wave? Like, I don't know how much to penalize Pokemon for being Distortion specific. Cerebi says Marlins only? Alright, I guess I'll trust that then. I think what I'm going to do is put it at the very top of Why Bother. If you can get it, it's okay. Right? I mean, you can Thunder Wave things, and eventually you have a really good special attack to use non-stab coverage moves with, but it's just so annoying to get, and considering it's a double trade item evolution, assuming you don't catch the Porygon 2 version, in which case I guess it's only one trade item evolution. Hooray. Just such a hassle to get, and a lot of RNG for what in the end amounts to like an okay Pokemon. Gengar! Gengar is good in pretty much every game it's been in. Is it good in this game? Yup. Yup. Good Pokemon. I don't know if there's any alpha spawns of it, but Ghastly is absolutely everywhere in Crimson Marlins. So you'll have no problem catching one. You can also just catch a Haunter. How did I say it that way? Haunter. Really fast, really strong, and it can Hypnosis thing. Wish it had Levitate. But I mean, it no longer has Levitate in the mainline games either, so I guess it's not that big of a loss. Gengar explodes if it ever gets touched, same with Alakazam. Good thing you're never gonna get hit. it's fast. It's strong. Spiritomb. I think everybody knows why it's here. I mean, do you want to do the Spiritomb quest? I don't. But if you do, you get a Spiritomb. If you were to just warp a Spiritomb into your inventory, if it was just a normal Pokemon, or if somebody gives it to you from a trade, I'd probably put it, like, here around Sudowoodo. It's like a slow Pokemon that can at least kind of hit back, maybe, but to get one normally in the game, you have to go through a very, very annoying side quest that stretches every single zone of the game. No thank you. And it has no legs. Bad Pokemon. Look how many Pokemon at the top have legs. 4, 2, 2, 4, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2? 2, 2, 2, 2? 0. 0, 0, 0. Guys, we cracked the code. I mean, I think Spiritomb's placement is very well described by the tier. Why bother getting this? You wouldn't. Honchkrow. Happy day for Honchkrow fans. This thing is good. This thing is strong. We're gonna put it like here. This thing does big damage. Big damage. And you can get the alpha immediately in Crimson Marlins at nighttime. Does crazy damage. Speed is like kinda suspect. It's not the fastest thing ever, but notably, it is a dark type that Giratina does not have a super effective hit against. So Giratina's moves are Aura Sphere, Dragon Claw, Earth Power, and Shadow Force. And the combination of Ghost and Fighting hits every single Pokemon in the game neutrally, except for one that was introduced in this game. And because Honchkrow is a flying type, it dodges getting hit super effectively by the Aura Sphere. So it might actually survive a hit, and it's able to hit with Stab Dark against Giratina off of a very, very high attack stat. So good job, Honchkrow. And he does have an animation where he dabs. Yes, if you use Nasty Plot, he tips his hat. Milady, I'm about to crit you. Unown. So, Unown got a ridiculous buff, so Hidden Power was reworked to be kind of like a mini Judgment. So how it works now is it's always super effective against the opponent, no matter what. So you're doing double damage all the time. That's incredible. How much damage are you doubling? Not much. Womp womp. It's unknown. What we know about Unown is that it's bad. I mean, its stats are just unsalvageable. But hey, at least hidden power's better in this game. I did not pick Unown F. It was the base image in Bulbapedia is an F, so even they know F's for Unown. It's Walrein. Spheal, what happened to you? You used to be so cute. Well, Walrein's kinda hideous. Is it any good? I mean, not really, no. I don't think it's why bother. I'm gonna put it here-ish. It's basically a really slow, bulky water. The ice type is both good and bad. I mean, you get stab ice, that's good. You're an ice type. That's bad. Most things die in 1 or 2 hits anyway, so, I mean, it doesn't change that much. You can basically backstrike and hope to kill them with an ice or water move. You probably won't, though. Uh-oh. Walrein gets an S in the potential clown tier list. I definitely would rather have this as a clown at my party than this, that's for sure. Octillery. Talk about SEA tier. Wow, this thing is so boring, so unexceptional. Put it here. Whatever. I mean, it gets a lot of beam moves, that's cool, but its stats are just trash. Are they trash? I mean, I'm like about to put them in the trash. They're not like there and already festering like with some of these Pokemon, but like it's not good. It's not exceptional at anything at all. It has Octazooka. Is Octazooka good? Not really. Octillery isn't trash, but you can bring it to Goodwill as a donation. I do want people to take it away from me. I don't want it. I think because it's got okay offenses, we'll put it above these two. I think this is about fair. We'll actually put it above Walrein for also having better coverage. It's not getting higher than this. Alright, Drapion. Why are there so many dark poison types in this game? I mean, dark poison is pretty good typing. I think it's better than Skuntank. Drapion, you can get the alpha right there in Cobalt Coastlands. It's like kind of hanging out on the coast. It's a great sentence. Good typing. And it's pretty fast, yeah, 95 base speed. It's surprisingly fast. Why isn't this a bug type, by the way? Going by number of legs, this thing's gotta be pretty strong, right? It's got 6, that's pretty good. Poison, pretty good type. You can Night/Giratina. It'll Earth Power you, but you probably won't die. It's okay. Hisuian Arcanine. Fire Rock is a very suspicious type. I mean, it's no Magcargo, right? It's way better than Magcargo. Would I say this is actually good at combat? I don't know about that. I don't think I would say that, but I think it maybe is good enough to land in the crew where you can maybe go first and take them out before you get hit. Overall, its stat total is really high. That's always been the case with Arcanine, right? I think it's like 555, insanely high for a normal Pokemon that's not a non-pseudo. And Fire and Rock are both good offensive types. I wish it was a little bit faster, but it's not that slow either. It's like 90, I think. What do you fight with it? Good question. Electrode, I guess. I don't think it stands out enough in any fights or early enough to be useful for combat. So we'll put it here with the hits pretty hard crew. In fact, I think we'll actually move it up. We'll put it up here. I think this is a good place for it. Wish there was an alpha spawn, that would be nice. But you can Firestone it immediately, assuming you have a Firestone, which you probably do by the time you get to Cobalt Coastlands. Ugly. It's really fast, so it goes first. And then what? Have we heard that before? About 2 boring, very, very uninteresting normal types? We have, wow! So we know exactly where to put this. Whatever, we'll put it like here. Pretty much everything we said about these two also applies to Ugly. It's fast, so it goes first, and then what? It's a normal type. What's it gonna do? Not much. At least there's a static alpha. Oh, has Hypnosis? Congratulations. We'll put it here. Fast Hypnosis, that's pretty good. And then what? Machamp! Hits really, really hard. I wish it was faster. Hey! Look at these guys. Well, it goes right there. I think overall Golem and Rhydon are a little bit more useful. But I mean, Machamp is fine. You can backstrike them, hope that you kill them in one hit, and if you don't, whoops. You got a lot of attack though, so you probably are going to take them out. And Machop is available very early in the first area, and I think there's a static alpha Machoke in Coastlands, and a very high level static alpha Machamp in Alabaster Iceland. So you have options. Chatot. Well, we have Chatters, but Chatter, the actual move, has been removed from the game, which is the only reason why you would ever use this thing. So why would you use this? You wouldn't. Why bother? 91 speed, 92 special attack. Yikes, it's basically Mothim. Mothim's available earlier, it's worse than Mothim. Chatot sucks. Dusclops. One of the very few mandatory Pokemon you have to get. Not Dusknoir, but Dusclops you have to actually catch in order to complete the game, because you have to Dark Pulse the food for Basculegion? I don't know how that works. So Dusclops is a defensive Pokemon in a game where, you know, defensive Pokemon suck. Uh-oh. At least it's a Ghost type, and Ghost is really good. It's got 100 base attack, which is pretty good, but what moves are you actually using? I looked it up, and the best physical Ghost move you get is Shadow Sneak. You can get Shadow Ball, but you have like 65 base special attack, Lamau. So you're basically going to be either Shadow Sneaking or like Leech Lifing? Like, what do you actually do to attack with this thing? Pretty much nothing. I think it's worse than Walrein. But because it's a Ghost type, it's probably better at walling than these fools. And you are, I mean, there's no opportunity cost to get one, right? You have to catch one, so I think for that we'll put it in meh. And it loses, yeah, negative legs from evolution. It starts with no legs, then it has 2, and then it goes back to none. Did it really evolve? Empoleon! Hey, Water Steel's a really good type. And it actually has water moves and really good special attack. It's kind of slow though. Where did we put Torterra? We put it in useful because it can actually status. Empoleon can't status, but I mean, it does damage. It does big damage. How about this? I wish it was faster, but it's not that slow. It's like 70 or 80. And you can get the alpha in Cobalt Coastlands near Turnback Cave where you eventually catch Giratina. It does get Wave Crash, which unfortunately has recoil, which is really annoying. But I mean, you're gonna die in one hit anyway, so may as well deal recoil damage to yourself. 60 speed, ooh, uh-oh. High meh is fine for it. I wouldn't say it's a combat superstar. It's a bit too slow for that, but good typing, does damage. I hope you one-shot them with your backstrike, otherwise you're in trouble. But not that much trouble, because Water and Steel is a good type. Mantine, not very fast, defensive Pokemon. In a game where not very fast defensive Pokemon are bad. I think we'll put it there. Very nearly don't bother. But I mean, it's a water type, it's not that bad. There's no water types in Why Bother yet. You can do something with this thing. We're making our own C tier right here, look at this. A bunch of mediocre water types. Basculegion. So Basculegion has 2 forms depending on its gender. There's male Basculegion, which has better offenses, which is all that matters, so it's just better. It's... how much better? I mean, slightly. Is it good overall? No. But it is a Ghost type, and Ghost types are really good. Where are we gonna put this? I think it's hanging out near the bottom of this backstrike them and hope to take them out in one hit tier. And Water Ghost is pretty good typing. Really annoying evolution, but it's not that hard once you know how to do it. You can just destroy lower leveled Pokemon to take a bunch of damage and then just heal so you're never in threat of actually knocking yourself out and having to redo it. Also, catching these things is an absolute nightmare. It's so skittish. Like, it runs away at the very first hint of your existence. And you have to catch it, fittingly enough, on Basculegion, and catching things on Basculegion is just a nightmare. It's the worst part of the game by far. Yeah, so female Basculegion is more balanced offenses leaning special, male leans physical attack, and they have the same defenses. I don't want balanced offenses. I want a good offense, which the male one has, so male one is definitely better. Ninetales. Why doesn't Ninetales have better stats? You'd think it'd be faster, you'd think it would be stronger, but you would be wrong on both. At least it can hypnosis things. Not in this game? Whoops. Alright, well, it's not good then. We'll put it here-ish. You can backstrike something. Maybe you can get 2 turns. Maybe you can take it out. It's a pure type. That's not good. Just very underwhelming overall. There is an alpha you can get on Firespit Island in the Cobalt Coastlands, but I mean, I don't really think that saves it at all. It's just very mediocre and unexciting overall. I wish there was a different version of it. Oh, what luck there is! Wow, Alolan Ninetales, hey! It's way better. It's way better. Although, unfortunately, it's not in the game much. It's a gift from an Alolan dude in Alabaster Icelands. All ice Pokemon in this game have the equivalent of Slush Rush, so if it's snowing, you get doubled speed. You're pretty fast to begin with, which is nice, and you're an ice type, but you're a fairy type. Nice. Fairy is insanely OP, and this thing is very, very good against, I don't want to say his name, but people have already said it, and everybody knows who it is, but the Super Boss is quite weak to Alolan Ninetales. I just wish this was in more of the game. If it was, it'd probably be in useful. Alolan Ninetales, pretty good. Imagine that, an ice type actually being better than a fire type, even though they're the same species. Wow. Tentacruel. Where do you find this thing? In the sea? Should be pretty easy. It's decently fast? Not that fast, but like, okay. And then you can hit things with water moves. I guess you can hit them with poison moves. And hope that they die? You better hope pretty hard. What other moves does this thing get? I probably gets Ice Beam, right? Oh, Dazzling Gleam? Oh, okay, alright. It's okay. We're gonna put this above Walrein because it's much faster. I believe you can get an alpha as well in Cobalt Coastlands, sort of in between Firespit Island and the Ghost Hand place. Finneon. One of the most forgettable, boring Pokemon of all time. It's C tier even within C tier. In fact, we're gonna go ahead and make it memorable because it gets to be the very first water type and don't bother. Who cares about this thing? Are there any Finneon fans? Even if you say you are, I don't believe you. Who cares? Oh my goodness. Whatever. At least it gets to be near the top of Why Bother. Yes, everyone please type the first letter of Finneon in chat. And Ferb isn't even in this game, it's just Finneon. Where's Ferb? It does have a guaranteed alpha, this time between Firespit Island and Turnback Cave, but yeah, that doesn't save it. Who cares? I don't. Maybe you do. If you do, go ahead and use it. Oh, is this called Lumineon? I've been calling it the wrong name. It shows how much I care about it. I'm not doing a retake. Magmortar. Hits pretty hard. Kinda slow, but not that slow. Gets like Thunderbolt Psychic, pretty good coverage. Is that enough for it to be useful in combat? No. But you can hang out with the crew where you hope to kill them with a backstrike, and you probably can. Magnezone. Get in the zone. Very weird availability, so Magnemite and Magneton are only in distortions in Cobalt Coastlands, but you can get Magnezone, he's just flying around in the sky in Coronet Highlands. So because you can reliably get this in Coronet Highlands, I don't think we have to penalize it for being mostly distortion exclusive. How good is it? I mean, it's got a really good defensive type. I think the most resistances of any type combo ever? And it's got a crazy special attack stat, so even though you're never getting a second turn ever, if you backstrike something, you're probably gonna kill it, so we're gonna go ahead and put it below Magmortar. There you go. Oh, it gets Thunder Wave, right? We'll put it here. Because after you Thunder Wave them, you can actually kill them. Maybe. Good luck with that speed stat, though. Bronzong. It gets Hypnosis. And it's got a really good defensive type, so you'd think that it could wall. Maybe if this wasn't Legends Arceus, it could. Oh well. Where does this go? It's definitely better than these guys. It's Coronet Highlands is I think the earliest you can get it, so we'll actually put it like here-ish. You can Hypnosis them and you'll probably survive at least 2 hits. This also really misses pre-Gen 6 Steel because the Steel nerf to no longer resist Ghost or Dark gave this thing 2 additional weaknesses, and it also lost Levitate and Heat Proof. Like, wow, this thing is a huge loser when it comes to Legends mechanics. So sad. Electivire. Well, Magmortar was here. Is that where Electivire goes? I mean, they're kind of similar, right? Nah, I think Electivire is way better. I think Electivire is way better. For one, you can get a very reliable Alpha at near the very top of Mount Coronet. This thing can Thunder Wave, and it also just does big deeps. Hit it with a bunch of punches, physical moves. It's hitting you hard, and it's okay in terms of speed. Not a superstar, but good enough. So can both status and fight, and has a readily available, very strong Alpha. Good job, Electivire. Gliscor. I really wish Earthquake was in this game. Just without it, Gliscor is much worse. But I mean, hey, it's not the worst thing ever. There is an Alpha available in like a little valley in Coronet Highlands. I think we'll put it here. It's not better than Snorlax. We'll put it here-ish because it's very hard to kill. Wish it had Poison Heal. It's missing a lot from the Legends mechanics changes, but it's still like a fairly solid Pokemon. It's okay in speed, okay in attack, with really good typing. This might be a little bit too high, honestly, but I kind of like Gliscor. Garchomp. Previously King of Sinnoh. Garchomp really doesn't like this game, because they nerfed its two best moves. Earthquake is literally gone, and Outrage has been changed to kind of like a Dragon-type rollout. It only has 85% accuracy. Gross. And the first time you use it, it's kind of weak, and it gets stronger the second time. But in between the first time you use it and the second time you use it, because of the new Fixate mechanic, you have to take a hit that deals increased damage to you. Why? Like, I don't know why they destroyed the move so much. But I mean, it's a 600 BST Pokemon that's really fast and has a readily available, incredibly powerful Alpha waiting for you in the Alabaster Icelands. So, I mean, it's not that bad. It's pretty good. We'll put it here. It's also, like, the lack of Earthquake isn't that bad because, I mean, Bulldoze lowers your opponent's turn priority, and you're really fast, so you're almost always going to get to Bulldoze twice. I'd rather still just have Earthquake, but it's not as bad as it initially sounds. Garchomp stay winning. I mean, it'll never be bad. It's ridiculous stats. You can get one as an Alpha Gabite in Coronet Highlands, but if you just wait a little bit, you can go ahead and get the static 85 Alpha in Alabaster Icelands, and that's ready to just beat the game for you. Very strong. Probopass. Should Probopass on this thing. Ugh. Super duper slow with awful exploitable typing. Doesn't do anything on defense. It has Thunder Wave, right? Alright, there you go. And you can get a static Alpha, so it at least comes at a decent level, but man, this thing is underwhelming. Also, this is my chance to talk about how we don't have a compass in the game? So some people are saying we shouldn't have a minimap because it breaks immersion. I don't agree. I think it's more immersion breaking to have to open up the full map every few minutes to figure out where you're going. But there is absolutely zero excuse for there not to be at least a compass. There is literally a quest in the game where you have to help a lady find her way using Nosepass as a compass. And you don't have a compass in this game. Are you kidding me? Well, they're not kidding me because it's not in the game. Hisuian Voltorb, it's really fast. So it goes first and second. And, I mean, it's okay at that. I mean, it's got 80 in offenses. That's not great, but when you move twice, it's pretty good. Where do we put this? I don't quite think it's good enough to go in useful for combat, but it's crazy fast, and it gets Thunder Wave. So I think we can actually put this pretty high up in useful for capture. Like, if you're gonna use a Thunder Wave bot, you're probably gonna use this thing. 150 base speed is insanity. Thunderbolt and Ice Ball, Bolt Ball, baby! Honestly, speed is so busted in this game that we will, I think, actually put it at the bottom of useful, because even though its offenses are, like, kind of meh, you get so many attacks that it kind of makes up for it. And having extra attacks is very flexible, right? Or it's better to say extra turns, right? Because you can do anything. Rotom. So Rotom on its own is not that bad, but I don't even know if I should rank base form Rotom, because base form Rotom should basically never be used. You should always be using one of the forms, because the forms are basically evolutions when it comes to stats. The forms all have the same stats. Those stats are higher than base Rotom. Rotom itself at base, I think goes... We'll put it like here in the meh tier, because it's a ghost type. Ghost is really good. But its stats are just really middling. And the thing is that even though all of these Rotom forms are better than base Rotom, you are never seeing them ever. So I have almost 130 hours played, and I only have one appliance. I just have the fan, which is the Mime. Out of any of the other ones, I've never been offered them by that Gunther dude. Oh, it's got Thunderwave? Congratulations. Honestly, all the appliances, I think I have to put them in Don't Bother, because it is pure RNG if you can get any of them. You're never gonna see them. I've only gotten the fan, and I've done up to Arceus, and I'm a 10-star member. I guess we can at least try and rank the forms. So if you were to actually get these forms reliably, I would probably put them near the very top of useful, because they all can Thunderwave, and most of them are like pretty good. I think the best is definitely Wash, because I mean water type's good, followed by Fire. Then we'll go, honestly, probably Frost, just because, I mean, Ice is a terrible defensive type, but I mean, Blizzard, sure, I'll take it. And then we'll go ahead with Mo, and last with Fan. Fan's kind of a meme, but I mean, it's not the worst thing ever. If you could actually get the appliances, they would be in this order, probably above Rapidash is what I would say. They also all really, really miss Levitate. Because Levitate is a huge part of what makes Rotom good. Without Levitate, they all suffer. Most of all, Rotom Heat, because now you're getting destroyed by a quadruple effective Earthquake. Which is not in the game, so quadruple effective high horsepower, I guess. Chimecho. Can you guess where this is going? The question is, does it get Hypnosis? It does. Okay, congratulations, Chimecho, because otherwise you were going to the depths of Don't Bother. So you get Hypnosis, and there's a high-level Static Alpha in Alabaster Icelands near Lake Valor. It doesn't affect its tiering, but I am going to give Chimecho a dishonorable mention for being part of one of the most boring quests in the entire game, which is really saying something. This is old lady who's like, oh, Chimecho is under my eaves. Go find a home for it. And you just go talk to a bunch of people who don't want Chimecho either. And Chimecho at the end is like, oh, I think I'll stay with the old lady, and that's it. And then you get like a Grit Rock or something. Just a complete waste of time. So boring. Almost as boring as Chimecho itself. Mismagius. This is a cool Pokemon. Does Mismagius get Hypnosis? Yes, it does. Hey, congratulations, Mismagius. So that's pretty good news, because I think we're gonna put it all the way up here. So being a ghost type is great, because you get to dodge all of the random normal moves that get thrown your way. There's a Static Alpha in Coronet Highlands in the little graveyard area thingy. You can catch it, you can Hypnosis some stuff, it's pretty fast. It's ghost type is good. I wouldn't quite put it in useful overall, because its combat is kinda sus, but it's not awful. Like, if you were making this list and you put Mismagius at the bottom of useful, I wouldn't say you were wrong. Yeah, 1 of 5 special attack and speed is fine, and coverage is solid, yeah. I would describe this as other people have as discount Gengar, which is basically where it is. Clefable. Is that how it sounds? I think so. Clefable. So you find this, there's a Static Alpha in the Moon View Grove? Moon something Grove. In Coronet Highlands. It's a fairy type, that's pretty good. But unfortunately, one of the best things about Clefable is its ability Magic Card, which doesn't exist in this game. So it loses a lot from that. I would put this in useful for combat if it was, faster or available earlier. But I think, considering it's like kind of slow and very meh, on the merits of it being a fairy type, we're gonna probably put it near the very top of meh, is what I'm thinking. I wish this was faster, I wish this was available earlier, but yeah, why would you use this when you could use Togekiss? Togekiss is way better. Next, we've got this Sonic Forces OC that somehow became an official Pokemon. Insane stats. Absolutely crazy stats. I wish you got this earlier, but still, wow. We're doing massive damage at an incredible speed. That's crazy. Yeah, Sneasler is coming for you at 120 base speed with 130 attack. Prepare yourself, you're about to get destroyed. But unfortunately the typing is kinda sus. And it doesn't do that well against Giratina, unlike, wow, look at this, Jotonian Sneasel. So Jotonian Sneasel, I think, you're never gonna hear me say this again, it's better because it's an ice type. But yeah, what's the strongest, most dangerous Pokemon in the entire game? It's a Ghost Dragon type. What type is Weavile? Ghost Dark. Hey. Oh my, I messed up I ruined it. Ice Dark. Unfortunately, it's really annoying to get because it's only Distortion Zones in Obsidian Fieldlands, which is really annoying, but honestly, I think this thing is so busted, it's like worth it. Like, I know that Porygon Z is all the way down here, but that's because you have to kind of like hunt for it, and at the end you get like this thing. I think that Weavile is actually worth getting. It's by far the best ice type in the game. It destroys everything, because it moves first and second because it's super fast, and it does massive damage. It's cute that all ice types have Slush Rush, but think about when that actually matters. Almost never, right? Because it only really snows in Alabaster Icelands out in the open, and like, what are you actually fighting there? Yeah, of course, if they ever get hit, they just explode, but I mean, that's true for most Pokemon in this game. Glalie. Well, we just talked about a really good ice type. I guess we should balance things out by talking about Glalie. How low does this go? I think it's better than these guys, maybe. Ugh. Horrible Pokemon, 80 in every stat. Is that good? Nope. At least there's a static alpha that you can get in the middle, like, of the snowy field place right next to, what's it, Avalugg's Legacy? Easily available. Do you want it? I'd say just leave it available. I mean, the best thing I can say about this is that its Japanese name is really good. So its Japanese name is Onigori. First of all, it sounds like onigiri, which is the Japanese word for rice ball. You might know it as jelly donut. It also sounds like Demon Goalie, which is why it looks like a hockey mask. It also kind of looks like a rice ball. And my favorite part is that it also sounds like Demon Ice. Because there's a very popular summer snack here in Japan. I guess in English it's just shaved ice, but in Japanese it's called kakigori, and then this thing is called onigori, so it's great. Excellent name. Too bad it's attached to this Pokemon. Whoops. Frostlass. Way better than this thing. Still not very good though, but hey, it's faster. That's good in a game where speed counts for a lot. It's a dual type. That's good in pretty much every Pokemon game. And it's a ghost type. That's really good in this game where everything's spamming normal moves. So, where does Frostlass go? Definitely in a different tier. I think we're actually gonna put it here-ish. It's not great, but it's way better. It's way better. But yeah, it comes late and still struggles to hurt things, but I mean, it's okay. Good in combat? I wouldn't go that far. Like, look at the Pokemon that are actually good in combat. These are some heroes. Does Frostlass get to hang with them? No way. It's also a very cool Pokemon, like, lore-wise, because there's a yokai. Yokai Watch Stream 1. There's a yokai called the Yukionna, the Snow Woman, who basically, ambushes lost travelers on snowy mountains, and I mean, I guess before you die, you get to meet a waifu, because, spoilers, she kills you. And that's what this is modeled after, so pretty cool. The fossils. So, Rampardos. I mean, it hits really hard. Are you ever gonna catch one? Probably not, because it's Distortion exclusive in Coronet Highlands, but at least it hits really hard, so I think with that in mind, we can put it sort of next to Porygon Z, in that if you get it, it hits really hard. Good luck getting it. It is very slow, but hey, I mean, backstrike them and one-shot them. You can actually one-shot them for sure with Rampardos. Bastiodon. This might actually be the single worst Pokemon in the game. Yeah, it might actually be. So, really hard to catch because it's a Distortion exclusive. But unlike Rampardos, who will one-shot you after he sneaks up on you, Bastiodon does literally nothing. it sits there, and then you kill it because it's super slow and it has a horrible, 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 horrible typing. The only reason it's above Spiritomb is because you'll never catch Spiritomb. But if you could catch both of them, yeah, Bastiodon is worse. It might actually be the worst Pokemon in the game. I think it legitimately is worse than Unown. I wouldn't say that if Hidden Power hadn't had the buff, but considering that Hidden Power is always super effective, yeah, Bastiodon sucks. It just stands there. Menacingly. I wouldn't even say menacingly. It just stands there. This is an absolute travesty. Like, you'd be better off trying to fight with an actual wall. Just point at a wall and hope that it attacks the opponent. Horrible. Anybody in defense of Bastiodon? I don't think so. Pretty ironic that a Pokemon all about defense needs other people to defend it. Mamoswine. In terms of Pokemon that hit really hard and just hope to kill you with a backstrike, Mamoswine is pretty good. I mean, Ice and Ground are both excellent offensive types. You get this thing kinda late, but there is a guaranteed alpha. And if you backstrike your opponent, you're probably gonna kill them. I think I'm actually gonna put this, here-ish? Mamoswole, yeah, this thing has crazy attack. And also, it's buff enough that honestly, you might actually survive an Aura Sphere from Giratina and get back to hit it with an Icicle Crash. And 80 speed is not even that bad. Like, honestly, Mamoswine, if you could get it earlier in the game, I would maybe even put it in useful for combat. I just really wish it wasn't in the last area of the game. Mamoswine should be useful for combat. I think it's just too late. Like, look at the Pokemon that are in useful for combat that come in Alabaster Icelands. It's Alolan Ninetales who annihilates the super boss, and it's a level 85 Alpha Garchomp. Yeah, all three of the Mamoswine evolutionary line have fixed alphas. I don't know why, but I mean, sure, Swinub's really cute. I think it's actually Swinub because it's a swine, but I always called it Swinub when I was growing up because I didn't know swine was a word because I was like 6. Wow, every one of Volo's Pokemon except for Spiritomb is weak to Mamoswine's stab combo? That's crazy. Well, when you put it that way, yeah, we'll put it up here. I still think it's not as good as Alolan Ninetales, but wow, good job, Mamoswine. He really lucked out that he does well in the only battle in the entire game. Avalugg. Alright, so I believe base Avalugg is one of the worst Pokemon of all time. It's a super slow, defensive, mono ice type. I believe this is actually the Hisuian form. It's one of the nobles, right? Yeah, it is. And it gets a dual type. Dual types are almost always better than monotypes. So, what's the dual type? It's, what is this? It's ice. Ice. Ugh. Ice Rock? You're kidding me. But you're not kidding me. Oh my goodness. How did you take one of the worst Pokemon ever and make it even worse? Well, I mean, they can rearrange the stats, right? So I mean, if we check the stats, 35 base speed? You're never getting a turn ever. Literally glacial speed. Oh my goodness. But I mean, it gets a signature move, right? And most signature moves are pretty good. Like, what's the signature move? It's, what's it? It's Mountain... Signature move is actually fine. It's pretty good. I wish it was 100 accuracy. Yeah, literally glacial. Horrible Pokemon overall. So it has 127 attack. Because of the mechanics of this game, you can maybe backstrike something and kill it. And because of the way turn order works in battle, when one of your other Pokemon gets knocked out, you can send out Avalugg, and then you'll never get another turn with any of your Pokemon ever, but hey, you can attack once with Avalugg. Honestly, I'm gonna put it above Glalie because you can at least backstrike things and do massive damage. But you better hope you kill them, because you're dead next turn no matter what. And it goes without saying, yeah, Ice Rock is a contender for the worst typing in the history of the franchise. And yes, it's 35 base speed with a boosted speed base by 10. They rearranged its stats. at least they tried. They could have tried harder. Other than Ice Rock, what's the worst? Honestly, I don't know. Speaking of Ice Grass is one of the worst possible type combinations. Abomasnow. This guy really let himself go after leaving office. Man, he's bad. He's better than Glalie. Because, I mean, I'll take a dual type over not a dual type. But yeah, if you ever get hit, you're gonna die. So you can backstrike things, and your offenses aren't good enough to actually take them out, but I mean, you can pray. I mean, if you're using Abomasnow, you've already given up on, you know, trying to win, right? You're just doing it because you like Abomasnow. Hey, Snow Warning's a really powerful ability. Too bad it's not in this game. I mean, it's all connected, right? I mean, the dude from Alola is in the Alabaster Highlands, and Abomasnow, we know, he grew up and was born in Alola, and just had a major change of heart and decided to become an ice type somehow. I should have done this entire thing as an Obama impersonation, right? Now, let me be clear. Abomasnow has a poor typing, that's true. However, Hisuian Zoroark, Giga Chad typing? I really didn't expect this, so normal on its own is very whatever. Ghost on its own is pretty good. It turns out when you combine normal and ghost, you get insanity, 3 immunities, only 1 weakness. And all 3 of those immunities are very useful. What? This thing is so good. Like, if you got this earlier in the game, like, I think if you got this thing in Obsidian Fieldlands, I would probably say this was the best Pokemon in the game. Its stats are crazy. It's so fast, it's so strong, and it specifically destroys Giratina because Giratina's unwallable ghost fighting combination is walled by Zoroark. I mean, he can still Dragon Claw you, but you'll probably survive. Insanely good. I just wish you could get this earlier. I think even considering how late you get this, I'm gonna put it like tier-ish. It's so good. You should use this thing. It's ridiculous. Hisuian Bravery. I think much worse than you'd think. So Hisuian Bravery is very slow. It also just has a very weird stat spread. It's bad. It's shockingly bad. You'd think it'd be better. No static alphas as far as I can tell. Super slow, mediocre typing. Okay signature move, I guess? I think honestly, for how late in the game you get this is like a why bother. Like, it's not the worst thing ever. You can pump some grit into it and maybe get some use out of it, but oh my, like, honestly, why bother? There's so many better things you could be doing at this point in the game. Hey, Ruffled in the Wild are like level 53 already, like they're 2 levels away from evolving, that's fine, but this thing is so slow. Why are 2 of your ride Pokemon just absolute slugs? Yeah, its signature move, Esper Wings, does raise your action speed, but here's an idea. How about you just have good speed? S+ for transportation, though. Yeah, I mean, you'll be seeing Hisuian Bravery a lot in your playthrough, just not on your team. Lucario! People love Lucario. Some people really love Lucario, uh-oh. I wish you could get this earlier, but, I mean, for the point in time you get it, it's okay. I wish I could put it in useful for combat, but I think it's so late that I can't. I mean, it's late and it's also not that exceptional. Its speed is okay. Its special attack is good. Its attack is good. Its typing is good. It's just that those things need to be like really great to get it up here at the point in the game where you get it. If you got this much earlier, I'd probably put it in useful for combat because it's not bad at all. But I mean, like, Mamoswine is doing more. Sorry, Lucario. But I mean, like, you're pretty high up in Meh. It's pretty good. Fast enough to actually not get doubled. Strong enough to knock out in 1 hit, maybe. It's not bad. You think Lucario is a bit too high up in Meh? Yeah, I could see that. Honestly, yeah, you're right. I think it's probably, we'll put it, like, here. Lucaris so-so. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Now we're getting to the point of the game where availability is really a question, because for most of these, you can use them for literally 2 battles, right? You use them for the Super Boss, and you use them for Arceus. Except for Arceus itself, I don't really know why it's on the list. Alright, Uxie. What's this? This is the thing of knowledge. It's not that slow, but it's a very meh defensive psychic type that you get at the very end of the game. Honestly, like, it's not the worst thing ever, but why bother? Why do this? Look at all these other Pokemon you could be using. Don't use this. They're at decent levels, I guess. Mesprit is pretty much the exact same as Uxie, except it's like uglier and it's a little bit better. Because it's a little bit more offensive. Oh, do they both have Hypnosis? At this point, you're not really catching Pokemon anymore, right? It's basically just a spam fest of catching legendaries. I don't think Hypnosis really counts anymore. Meh, Spirit, well put. Azelf is actually way better than the others, because it's very offensively leaning. So I think we'll go ahead and put Azelf, actually, at least in meh. It's actually quite strong, but the game is like over when you get it. What are you gonna use this for? Alright, we'll move Mesprit up to meh, just because it's in its name. Heatran! It's a good Pokemon. I wish it was actually in the game. We'll put it here. I think it's a little less useful than Azelf, because Azelf is just like a monstrous attacker. But Heatran has a very good type, Fire Steel. It can actually survive hits. It's not that slow. It's kind of slow. All the Pixies get a new signature move, but whatever, I don't think it's that good. Mystical Power does damage and raises either the user's offensive or defensive stats based on which is higher. Oh, okay. Whatever. You use them for the DLC getting announced tomorrow. Well, I mean, if there's DLC, then yeah, I guess this whole tier list needs to be kind of redone. But at the time of writing, we're not writing anything. At the time of recording, where there is no DLC. Regigiggas. We don't have abilities, but we still have slow start. Game Freak has no mercy. This thing is absolute trash. It's so bad. It's so bad. I mean, the only consolation is that in the anime, its cry is really funny. Because it's like dubstepping on you. Like, Regigiggas. I can't even do it, but I'll put it in the edit. Enjoy the anime cry and don't use it in game. They really went out of their way to semi-revive a removed mechanic just to make Regigiggas even worse. And by the way, if Regigiggas did not have slow start, it still would be in Why Bother. It is not good. Cresselia. Cresselia has the special power to soft lock your entire save? Uh-oh. So, you have to catch Cresselia to progress the story. It's hanging out in, I think, Moonview Arena, where Hisuian Electrode is. The thing is, it's actually in the arena, so if you just fly into the arena and catch it, you can, but you've just soft-locked your game, because you have to talk to Melee, the warden, before you actually catch Cresselia. Otherwise, he will never recognize you as having catched Cresselia, and your game is over. So, I mean, I guess it's the true evil and not Darkrai. But watch out for that. That hasn't been patched yet as of the time we're doing this. How good is Cresselia? It's actually a pretty good wall. It has a move, I think Lunar Dance or Lunar Blessing, where it's recover, but it also obscures it to raise its evasion, which actually makes it one of the very few Pokemon in the game that can actually tank. Is that good? I mean, kind of. A little bit? I mean, it's definitely not in Why Bother. I think there's things you can do with this, but there's just better things you could be doing. As in, like, attacking the enemy and killing them. But if you want to try and stall, I mean, you maybe sort of kind of can with Cresselia, so we'll go ahead and put it in meh over here. The Genies. So these you can literally only use for Arceus because they start appearing after the super boss. So what do you actually use them for? I have no idea. They're basically untiered. But if you're going to use one, I guess Enamorus is the best because it's a fairy type and fairy is OP. I honestly think like these should just kind of be untiered. You can use them against Arceus and they all hit quite hard. So we're just going to put them here. I think this is the order they should go in. And Tornadus goes last. Nice pure type loser. But you can also just think of them as untiered. Dialga and Palkia. You are forced to catch both. So you get them both for sure. And they're both, I mean, surprise, surprise, pretty darn powerful. Unfortunately, there isn't much game you can use them for, but hey, you can use them for the hardest part of the game, and that's nice. Do we put them at the bottom of useful for combat? Because of the legendaries you get, they're definitely the best. Honestly, I think to differentiate them for their strength, we are actually going to put them in useful for combat. And Palkia is better due to the origin form boosting its speed to 120. But if you're struggling against the Super Boss, you should be using these, because they're both amazing. I think the Origin form changes their signature moves as well, so Origin Palkia's Spatial Rend is slightly weaker, but it has even higher crit. I don't think that's worth it. And Origin Dialga's Roar of Time is less accurate, but it's a bit stronger. I also don't think that's worth it, so... Oops. At least it's neat. Giratina. Giratina is in basically the same situation as the Genies, where the only fight you can really use it for is Arceus. It's got a lot of legs, that's good. But it's also a defensively leaning Pokemon, whereas all of the Genies are more towards offense. Giratina's fine. I think I'm gonna put it like here-ish. I just don't really think it's worth using against Arceus, but you can. The thing is that it's good at walling, and Arceus is unwallable because it will always hit you super effectively with a Stab Judgment, so why even try? These are the 4, I guess, pay-to-win Pokemon. You only win with one of them, but, so Phione and Manaphy, Shaman and Darkrai, they're not required for Dex completion, but they are all available, kind of, we gotta put that in quotes, available. So to catch Phione and Manaphy, you have to complete the Legend of the Seas quest, which you can either look up online, which is what most people are gonna do, or you can read a book in another game you purchased, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. I'm sorry if you bought it, because the game's awful, but that tells you how to solve the riddle, which then lets you engage in the single worst encounter in the game, in my opinion, if you actually try and fight it, because it's a 5v1. It's absolutely disgusting. And what's your reward at the end? You get Phione, who is complete garbage. Why bother for sure? I mean, it's probably better than Bastiodon. And you get Phione, which has a 600 BST. That's good, 108 stat, and it's a water type. I mean, is that good? Not really, no. Whatever. You can get it kind of early. I guess I'd put it like here, right? If you're gonna use a mediocre, bulky water type that you have to go through a lot of extra effort to get, I guess you can use Manaphy, whatever. So, like, Phione is basically just better Glalie, so we can put it above Glalie. What an honor. I think if you could just catch Manaphy out in the wild, it'd be much higher up in meh, but you have to go through so many hoops. It's so obnoxious to get this thing. It's just not worth it. We're gonna put it here. Shaman! So Shaman is another 600 BST Pokemon. You can turn it into Sky Shaman. You should definitely do that, because it's way better. Unfortunately, it's super duper late game, and you have to pay to actually get this thing. But I mean, hey, it's actually fine. I'd probably put it a little bit below Heatran. Specifically the Sky form. The Sky form is fast and strong, which is what you want. I just wish it was in the game more. If you want to actually pay and win, maybe use Darkrai, because Darkrai is very good against, hey, look at that, Giratina! Because Darkrai is super duper fast, and Dark Void in this game is 90% accuracy and lowers defense. So if you Dark Void them, you can then Hex them or use one of the zillion Hex clones to deal massive damage. Which is really useful. And on its own, Darkrai can also fight, because it's fast and strong. Darkrai, I think, actually, because of all those things, if we put the cover legendaries here, we're also going to put Darkrai here. Because I think Darkrai is exceptionally useful in the one battle it's available in, if you actually paid to win and use it. And Arceus, he's in the title of the game, but he's not really in the game. I mean, you fight him, at the end you can get him, but at that point there's nothing left to do. So, I mean, it's untiered, but obviously Arceus is ridiculous, right? I mean, it's the best Pokemon in the game once you get it, but there's no game left, so... it's gonna be in the dimension beyond the rift, here in untiered, lording over the rest of the list from the abyss. Very poetic. Yeah, I mean, Arceus with its new Judgment move is absolutely absurd, but maybe the creator of all Pokemon should have a move that is absurd. Alright. Hey, we did it. We made a Legends Arceus tier list. I think you could shift a lot of these things around. This is definitely not, you know, a refined list or anything. It could also change if there's DLC. But I think this is a decent way to organize the Pokemon of the game. Yeah, it only took 5 hours. How long did Gen 5 take? Also about that long, right? Where is Charizard? That's a question we're all asking.